Welcome everyone to Ask Dr. Jeff, the interactive Zoom experience where we discuss things all things photobiomodulation and Lifewave. I am your host and facilitator, Dr. Jeffrey Hubbard. I'm a medical doctor here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Extremely excited as always to share space and to discuss this amazing revolutionary technology that is changing lives all around the world. I'm sure if this is your first time joining us, you're going to have quite the experience. So let me start off by giving you a little background on Lifewave and on these light therapy patches, okay? Lifewave was started in 2004 by a really profound scientist named David Schmidt. He was working with the Navy to help Navy SEALs have more energy and more stamina in the field without any sort of drinks or caffeinated beverages. And this sparked an understanding of how to leverage light therapy or near infrared light to begin to stimulate the production of certain beneficial molecules in the body. And he began to use this understanding of light therapy to create additional patches. Those particular ones were called energy enhancers. Now we talk mostly about the most profound patch, the kind of rock star show pony of the 12 different ones he's created, called the X39. The X39 raises a molecule called GHK copper peptide, a really dynamic protein that was discovered in the 1970s by a professor at Harvard named Lauren Picard. So Dr. Picard has written countless studies and been published in several different periodicals focusing on his various different scientific breakthroughs regarding GHK copper peptide. This molecule is beneficial because it helps certain genes to be expressed differently. So for example, if certain molecules are created from certain genes for the storage of fat, right? We don't want that to happen. That's not healthy for our body. So we want to turn those genes down, what we call downregulate. If there's a molecule that we want to see more of, and we want to upregulate that particular gene and how those proteins are produced, then we want to turn that one up. So let's say in the counter example, it helps to go through lipolysis or fat breakdown. We want that for our body. That's healthier, that we don't carry a lot of excess fat. Then we will want that gene to be upregulated, all right? So that's essentially what GHK copper peptide does for 4,192 different genes to count. We'll be going over an article about GHK in just a few moments to kind of help you to understand why this molecule is so valuable and why it's been studied so effectively in biomedical science, all right? So this patch is about the size of a United States quarter. You put it actually on your skin in certain acupuncture locations. So not only does it help to induce the production of certain molecules through this light therapy science, but it also helps to stimulate acupuncture locations. And in traditional Chinese medicine, for thousands of years, the Chinese have understood that the flow of energy or qi through our body, when disease happens or pain happens, it's because that flow of energy becomes stagnant. And so in addition to the increase in these molecules that are beneficial, the body also is stimulated like you would if you went to go see an acupuncturist, right? So guys, I can't begin to express how impressed I am with these patches. I have been using them since February of 2020, and I have spent countless hours. I'd like to say 10,000. I'd like to say I'm an expert in this, but let's just round it up. Let's say 10,000 hours. I was on calls, I was on videos, I've been doing consultations. This has become a really powerful tool in my tool bag to help people to find homeostasis or physiological balance, where the flow of qi energy is flowing freely. And also you've got really healthy molecules building up in your system that are actually targeting key issues that develop as we age, because those molecules aren't expressed or produced as effectively as they are when we're young people. All right, so guys, I've got a testimony of my own before we get into our article today. As you can see, I have some new spectacles. I went and got an eye exam earlier this week, and from November of 2020, the last time I got an eye exam, to now, my vision has improved significantly. And I really have no other attributing factor other than the patch technology, all right? And it's subtle. I did notice I have astigmatism in this eye, so I have a unique sort of visual perspective sometimes when I don't have my glasses on. But I thought maybe it was getting better, but I wasn't sure. But now, after speaking to the optometrist, I can quantify that it has significantly gotten better since last I got an eye exam. So exciting, exciting, exciting. I can see you guys much better than I could a couple of years ago. All right. So guys, bear with me. I'm going to share my article so we can begin to jump into some good science and kind of better understand what's going on with this GHK molecule, okay? Guys, can you see that okay? Make this a little bit bigger. All right. I hope you can see that okay. The title of today's article that we'll be reviewing is called The Potential of GHK as an Anti-Aging Peptide, all right? Guys, in biomedical science, when your article is published, you have to also provide an abstract. The abstract is simply a synopsis, usually 1 to 3 paragraphs that talks about why this study is valuable, what you should learn during this study, and a summarization of what they concluded while they were studying it, okay? So in the essence of time, we don't always cover the entirety of the article. We just kind of do a quick review. So I'll kind of break down this abstract. So one of the key things that I think is so valuable about the X39, obviously, is that it works, but 2, it tackles a problem that we have with aging. 1 is because as we age, GHK copper peptide, which we already discussed, is this naturally occurring peptide in our bloodstream that has all of these benefits because it helps to upregulate or downregulate roughly 4,200 genes. When we're 20, there are 200 nanograms per milliliter of blood. When we're 60 years of age, we have 80 nanograms of millimeters in our blood, 80 nanograms per milliliter in the blood. So that's beyond roughly a 65% drop in our ability to synthesize this really powerful molecule that does so many different things. That in itself is powerful because we know the benefits of GH. So just raising it is really powerful, all right? Also, the molecule has an affinity for copper and is able to chelate copper and become GHK copper peptide, all right? It helps with anti-inflammation, it helps with tissue remodeling properties. It's an antioxidant. It works on wound healing and regeneration, skin modeling. It has countless benefits. One of the main things that I forgot to mention during the introduction, of all things not to remember, is that downstream of the GHK molecule's action, we have an increase in stem cell, pluripotent stem cells. Why are stem cells important? Because they're the most primitive type of cell. They're capable of morphing or changing their morphology into adult tissue types. So let's say, for instance, you've got a heart condition or a gastrointestinal condition, perhaps musculoskeletal or joint condition. Perhaps you have a central nervous condition. This particular type of cell is capable of coming any of those types of tissues so they can help rebuild, repair, and regenerate adult tissue, which is something that we know we have the capability to do, but we don't really oftentimes see ourselves regenerating when we get older. We need some stimuli. And so this patch and the GHK molecule that comes with wearing the patch helps to stimulate the production of those particular types of cells, okay? So another one of the primarily powerful observations is that there is a reversal of cognitive impairment in aging mice, specifically because this molecule targets the inflammatory pathway and epigenetic pathways. And so in today's science, guys, we're learning so much about epigenetics, which simply means that we can better understand how disease is transferred from a parent to child, all right? And there are certain disease states that we carry with us through our genetic relationship with our parents and family. So this molecule addresses all of those various different things. And this article was just published in March 27th of 2020. So this is not ancient science, and it's not brand new science either. This is something we've been reading and studying and understanding for the better part of the last 2 years, okay? So this happened after the creation of the X39, but obviously there's other articles that led to Mr. Schmidt's understanding of how GHK works, all right? So we talked a lot about what GHK is. We talked about tissue remodeling impact. So here we have something called fibroblast growth factor and vascular endothelial growth factor. Both of those are really powerful modulating agents in the development of endothelial tissue, which is the internal lining of the arteries, and fibroblast tissue, which is roughly what our ligaments and tendons are made of in all of our joints. So that's what the tissue remodeling impact really has a lot going on. The cardiovascular system remodels. A lot of people who consistently wear the X39 have a reduction in musculoskeletal pain and swelling and joint decline. In many instances, people are regenerating joint tissue and having improvement in their knees, ankles, shoulders, back, etc. All right, anti-inflammatory aspect of GHK. Guys, and I'll summarize this by saying there is a powerful anti-inflammatory component with consistently wearing the X39, and inflammation in general is just one of the major culprits in the development of disease. And so by modulating the inflammatory process, you get the opportunity to minimize some of the wear and tear that happens to your body. And we talked a couple of weeks ago about cognitive decline and how we've seen X39 really revolutionize the way that people's cognitive function works and their memory and processing, et cetera. Here's kind of some of the evidence. Now, again, this is a mice model. All mammalian tissue is roughly the same. Our physiology is roughly the same. So we can use mice and rats and pigs in order to help us to understand how this would impact humans. So don't be surprised by the mouse model. It's much easier to screw up a study on a mouse than it is to do that on a human tissue, okay? But this shows that there is a reverse of the aging process cognitively, all right? And so that's just a summary. They got a few more things here, but guys, this is a really powerful study. And I just wanted to share this with you because, one, I wanted you to realize that GHK copper peptide is not unique to Lifewave. It is harnessed by Lifewave to make an amazing patch and to do revolutionary things in the way that the body responds to the light therapy. But this is the type of research that Mr. Schmidt and the Lifewave team are studying to understand what patches need to be created in the future. So they find this research, they find out what's going on in anti-aging, what's going on in the ability for the body to repair itself. And then they figure out how to create a patch that provides this exact stimulation to make this molecule happen. And so the technology is really cutting edge. It's on the future. When you think biotech, you think like robots and doing surgery and really cool stuff that happens in the hospital. You don't necessarily think about a consumer product that you can put on the back of your neck for 12 hours a day that changes the way that your body produces certain molecules and how good you feel. It just doesn't compute. At least it didn't compute for me, but I had to go in here and read this type of study and read this type of research to better understand exactly how it was working before I could really get behind it and promote it the way that I am now. And the reality is that, guys, in addition to what I've read, I've had just as many experiences with people around the globe who are changing their lives by wearing this technology. So excited to share this article and to obviously discuss all of the cool stuff that's going on with Lifewave. I was just sharing with Adele earlier, I have the amazing opportunity to travel to the Philippines, and I'll be leaving this Saturday. So we'll be talking about some scheduling stuff later this evening. So don't jump off if you can. Stay to the end so that I can make sure I keep you up to date on all of the stuff that's happening with the trip and with my travels, okay? All right, we've got a couple of hands raised. Before we jump into question and answer, we always have to do our housekeeping, which is to protect the integrity of the company. As dynamic and as awesome as these patches are, they have not been approved by the FDA as a type 2 medical device. So that simply means they do not heal, treat, cure, or prevent any medical condition, all right? So when you're asking your questions, when you're making a testimony or anything that you'd like to share during this next section, make sure that you don't explicitly say any disease states or any diagnoses that you've been given. Those are not relevant to the discussion tonight, because again, these patches bring your body into what we call homeostatic balance and then create a healing environment for the body to repair itself. And that's what's leading to the changes in symptoms that people have, the changes in the experiences of their body and how their bodies are able to be at the best and most optimal state of health. All right. Guys, for those of you who are joining us for the first time or maybe not as familiar with Zoom as you would like to be, down at the bottom of the screen towards the right, there is an icon. It says reactions. It's a smiley face with the plus sign next to it. If you click that icon, it will give you an option to give a thumbs up, to give an okay sign, or to raise your hand and a few other emojis. All right. Please raise your hand. That gives you sequential order. Also helps me to find you. And amidst me talking and managing the controls and everything like that, sometimes it can get a little cumbersome. So please do me the favor of raising your hand and making sure that I know who you are and who to call on. All right. Going to start with Miss Nancy. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
I sure can. How are you, lady?
I'm very good. Well, I'm better. Not good, but better.
Great.
I'm a work in progress.
Okay. Lay it on.
Let's see. I don't need that. Can you tell me? Talk again. Say something.
I can hear you.
Oh, I guess I do need that. Okay. My question is, I have a old friend who I didn't know what her problem was. In other words, this is like 15 years ago. And she always had trouble with her legs and she never had a reason, And I lost track of her, and I recently found that she's much less mobile. Her nerves are affected. This is a neurological problem that she apparently has. I do know the name of the illness. It's very severe. My question is, if somebody has something like this that just puts them down, I mean, they can do something for a little bit and then they're on their back because there's so much pain from the nerves. Can the stem cells that are produced by the patches, which are new, affect that whole neurological system? In other words, can you make new stem cells for a disease that you've had for maybe 15 years?
That's a great question. And let me just kind of share this generally so that everybody hears this. That's really the stem cell's job. All right. So the stem cells are produced in a couple of different places in the body. Primarily, they're coming from the bone marrow. All right. When they get into the circulatory system, they respond to something we call cytokines, more specifically eotaxins. Eotaxins is a subgroup of cytokines. It's a way that the immune system sends signals to the rest of the body for it to respond to an inflammatory process or the recognition of something that needs to be addressed by the immune system. Okay, so I hope that made sense. So first, these stem cells are going to say, aha, these particular protein messengers are in the system. So you think about, you get an Amazon package right to your doorstep. It says, hey, there's a fire down the street. You need to call 911 or whatever and get the fire department to come put the fire out, right? So the stem cell is going to go to this particular part of the body where these messengers are being produced, and they're going to investigate. What do I need to do? How do I need to do it? This is a very complex sort of pathway system of communication, so we don't nearly understand how this works. But actually, my master's research was on the cascade of proteins that happens associated with inflammation. And so what we can say is that this complex messenger system is responded to by stem cells. And these stem cells are going to go to that area. And again, they're going to clean it up or do whatever they need to do. In many instances, they morph into whatever tissue that is. So in this particular instance, they theoretically should go to that central nervous system area, whether it's in the spinal column or in the spinal roots, or maybe it's in the peripheral tissue where the peripheral nerve has been damaged in some way, shape, or fashion, or just over the course of the lifetime, there's been some nicks and tears, and now the nerve is not responding appropriately. They should be able to go there and, one, help to minimize the immune response, which sometimes can really create a lot of the problems we have with our nerves, or they may be able to morph into a nervous cell tissue. So long story short, yes, the X39 should work on an injury that has been lingering for 15, 20, 40, 50 years. It should be able to say, hey, this is an issue. The body is telling me that this is an issue, and that stem cell is going to go and repair it. So that's the ideal situation. That's why many of our seniors in the Lifewave family are really experiencing a lot of benefits from, musculoskeletal pain, or for cognitive decline, for, issues with the peripheral nerves and, numbness and tingling, that sort of thing. All of that has been shown to be improved with consistent utilization of the X39.
Well, this condition, as I understand it, is progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And young adults many times are the ones that contact this or experience this. Mm-hmm. And they eventually lose the respiratory function and they can't breathe anymore. If you understand what I'm saying, that's how bad it can get. So is it fighting a losing battle to put an X39 on to something that is supposedly fatal?
Well, here's my thoughts with that. I believe that the body can heal itself from virtually anything. So, it might be the only way that the body's going to recover. I don't think it's futile, if that's what you're asking. I believe that even if it slows the process, even if it, helps in whatever minor ways, just to have a better quality of life, I think it's worth wearing the patch. But I've seen these patches do some miraculous things. So I wouldn't put it outside the realm of possibility.
And what if X39 plus what other patches would you suggest?
So glutathione is major. It has just so many benefits. It needs to be involved. Eon needs to be involved because it also has an impact on the nervous system. And I would likely do X49 as well, because it's been shown to be synergistic with X39 and, like a really great accompaniment. So I would start with those four. But all of the patches are going to have some benefit. So it really would be based upon how complex they want to get, what the budget is, et cetera, on how many patches. But I would try to load up. I would also include Alavida. I would also include carnosine if you can do those as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good information. Awesome.
send me an email and we can kind of figure out a more strategic protocol.
Well, I just found out about her and I haven't connected with her yet. So when I do that, I will call you and connect.
Perfect,
Okay.
perfect. Let me know.
Thank you.
Okay, will do. All right, Mr. King, go right ahead, sir. Your turn.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, sir.
There's a question that people have asked me, here and there, about patches. And they say, well, how long do I have to wear?
Mm-hmm.
And so going back and sharing with them, of course, some of the history you shared with us, at 30, you lost 50% by the time you get to be senior citizens, like most of my colleagues we are. I said, well, you done lost 95%. It took you 60 years to lose 95%. If you can afford it, like you say, economically, which in our case, we should be able to, what difference does it make how long you need to wear them? Although every time you put it on, as you've spoken, the stem cells become pluripotent. So in a sense, I'm saying you need to wear them as long as you need to, but at the same time, you could help me appreciate this question. The ones, when the stem cells are rejuvenated and they become pluripotent, we wear the patches consistently, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, 24 hours on, 24 hours off, whichever, your body can stand. In between the time that you're not wearing the patches, are you losing the activity that was, let's say, rejuvenated between that time and the time you put them back on again?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
So kind of a great question, because it allows us to kind of unpack some of the things that I think may be confusing for some of our new Lifewave members or what have you. So I think it's good just to kind of cover this, even though I think you and I know the real. So let's start here. When you put the X39 patch on, you're emitting body heat 24/7, 365. Part of that body heat is a light that you can't see with the human eyes called near infrared light. It bounces off the organic materials that are inside the patch and goes back into the skin. So just like when you stand out in the sun and get a suntan, just like when you stand out in the sun and you synthesize vitamin D, your body starts to respond physiologically and biochemically to this near infrared light frequency that is being reflected by the patch. So your body begins to produce these molecules, whatever patch it is you're wearing. Each one is unique. Each one is going to stimulate your body to produce, in the instance of X39, GHK copper peptide. Okay, so now your body is stimulated. So as long as you're wearing the patch, you're getting this frequency that's stimulating your body to eventually create these stem cells. And these stem cells are going to act just like any other stem cell. They're produced by your body. And again, like we said to Nancy, they're going to start circulating around the bloodstream, looking for areas where they can be beneficial and they can help rebuild or improve damaged, worn out, or otherwise compromised tissue. Okay. So when those stem cells, say they become heart cells, right? They're not going to go away when you take the patch off. They've already been stimulated, they've already been created, and they've already started to do their work. So just because you're not getting the frequency, say you take it off at 8 p.m., you've been wearing it since 8 in the morning, you take it off 8 p.m., you've done your 12 hours, you pop them off, you get in the shower, you get clean, you start relaxing and getting ready for your evening bed, whatever. Your body actually is still having circulating stem cell production. I mean, those stem cells are still working. They don't stop because you have taken the patch off. They're going to continue to be active. Now, are you going to be creating new stem cells at the same rate as you do while you're wearing the patch? Likely not, right? Especially if you're older in age and you're not producing as many stem cells as you did when you were younger, but they're still not going to go away. You're still going to have the activity that you stimulated while wearing the patch. Okay, so that's number one. A lot of people also ask, well, if I improve my knee condition and I run out of money and I say I'm not going to be able to buy the patches anymore, is my knee going to go back to where it was before I started wearing the patches? Again, that's no. That's tissue that's been created over the course of the time that you've been wearing it is going to be there and is not going anywhere. It's like writing a book. So if I sit down and I write 6 chapters to the book and all of a sudden I get writer's block and I can't write anymore, does that mean that the 6 chapters that I already wrote perfectly is going to go away? No, it's going to be there until I start writing chapter 7. All right. So that's the way I kind of explain what happens with tissue repair and improvements that are going on. Now, are you going to feel as energetic? Are you going to feel as young? Some of those things may diminish because you're not wearing the patch. But the physical repair and the improvement to the way that your systems work, that's going to be permanent when you wear the patch for whatever time frame. Okay, let's put a pin in there. How long does it take to actually work? That's another great question. That's a case-by-case basis. Everybody has their own physiology, their own biochem, their own issues and challenges, the things that they're dealing with. For some people, they respond to the frequency almost immediately. Day one, they start sleeping better, feeling better, more energetic, clear, and focused mentally. For other people, it may take a couple of weeks to a couple of months. I say in order to really determine for yourself what's happening with the patch, you need to wear the patch for approximately 120 days to 180 days. So you need to commit, 4 to 6 months of consistent utilization of the X39, and I guarantee you, you'll feel something. Now, is it going to be what you want it to be? That's to be determined. Some people say, oh, I got this really bum knee, and that's all I care about. I want this knee to improve, and so on and so forth. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. What do I mean by that? Your knee may improve a little bit, but not completely repair as somebody else's knee may repair. But you may find that your blood pressure is great. You may find that your A1C has gone down. You may find that you've got really improved cognitive function. You may feel like you don't need to sleep but 4 or 5 hours a day, but the knee may not be there. Okay. Some people, the knee may be there and something else that they were expecting may not be there. I'll give you a prime example. My uncle was losing his vision. He was really interested in that. He wanted to know, are these patches going to fix my eyes? And I said, well, Uncle, it's one way to find out. Let's put a protocol together. Let's get you feeling better, so on and so forth. So he began doing that, patching his face, all of this sort of things in hopes that his vision would improve. There was moderate improvement, but eventually he did lose his vision. But guess what? He doesn't take any more blood pressure medicine. He doesn't take any more heart medicine. He doesn't have any kidney medicine. I mean, he's virtually healthy, but his eyes, unfortunately, did not recover the way we wanted them to. Okay. So it's really a case-by-case basis. You have to peel and stick and have the experience for yourself to truly understand how these patches work. All right. Thanks for that question, Ray. That gave me an opportunity to really kind of dig in and share some thoughts there. Okay. Appreciate that. All right. I don't see any more hands up. Do we have any more questions? No? All right. We got all of our rock stars on today. No more questions, huh? Okay. So if you think of anything or you have a question as I'm kind of recapping, you can just unmute yourself and just say, excuse me, and we can have a further discussion.
Hey, Dr. Jeff, it's Lana.
Hi.
Hey, how are you? Thank you. It's great Zoom. My friend was able to get on for a while. He's been wearing them and absolutely loves them.
Okay, perfect.
My question is, it might be a little bit long, your answer, but I've been reading a lot about people that have transplants like kidney, liver, whatever. Mm-hmm. So you know where I'm going with that. So that basically is my question. I know that it's been said not to use stem cells with that, so I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, that's one of the only contraindications for the use of X39. And really, unless you've got a really great transplant doc who's willing to do the proper background and research on the technology and feel comfortable that there's no interactions between what they're hoping to accomplish to minimize the immune response, right? Because the whole issue with transplant is that you're introducing an otherwise foreign body into the system, right? So the person's kidney or lung or heart or liver or whatever is being transplanted came with its own antibodies and its own sort of immune related products. And so there's just no way to remove that. And once you put that into the new body, there's a possibility with every transplant for what we call transplant rejection, which simply means that your immune system says, hey, this is not our liver, and boom, you just have this huge autoimmune response in the liver and the organ doesn't survive or the patient doesn't survive. So that's one of the most, catastrophic aspects of transplant surgery. So they give really strong anti-rejection drugs that to minimize that immune response and kind of suppress the immune system. So things like glutathione, things like X39, things like X49, maybe even to a degree carnosine, all of these are antioxidants and they're immune modulators. So it's possible that by stimulating the immune system with those molecules in high degrees could potentially have some sort of interaction with the drugs that you take post-surgical of a transplant.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to hear your version.
Yeah.
It's best to stay away from that. Okay, I get that.
I just wouldn't touch it, because it's such a big thing. I mean, if you throw off that immune function and the organ fails, I mean, there's been a lot of people who've been involved. I mean, obviously, the donor and the recipient and the doctor staff. And so, I would just really encourage anybody who has a loved one, family member, or themselves are considering a transplant, that they need to have a really in-depth conversation with their treating physician and tell them, hey, look, I'm really interested. I'm really intrigued with these patches. I'd like to add them to my recovery. What are your thoughts?
Okay. I'm assuming that IceWave would be okay.
Yes, IceWave would be okay.
And possibly the energy?
Energy should be okay because you're just moving energy. And
okay.
It's going to be stagnant anyway.
Okay.
So that should be good. I think silent night should be good if there's any sort of issues with sleeping or your circadian rhythm.
Right.
Alavita should be good. But I would stay away from the Y age group and X39, X49.
Thank you. And I've missed so many. I just have been missing your Zooms. I do apologize. Have you talked about pregnancy? Do we decide that? Do you guys, what's your thought on that? Is it stay away? I don't know how it could hurt, but I'd like to hear your version with pregnant women.
So my thing is that I haven't seen any sort of evidence to support that the patch harms the natural body, right? The natural process, physiology, biochem, and pregnancy is a natural process. So I don't see why the baby would be affected. As a matter of fact, the place where they get most of the injectable stem cells is from umbilical blood and, placenta. So there's tons of stem cells there. It definitely is not going to hurt the mom, and it most definitely should not, in theory, hurt the baby because the baby is bombarded with stem cells anyway.
Thank you, Dr. Jeff. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting back on these every week.
No problem. And, YouTube is always there, so you can just subscribe to YouTube. This is episode number 76.
Nice. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. Thank you, Lana. You gave people some motivation. We got a couple more hands up. Susan, your turn. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, Dr. Jeff, just a
Okay.
quick question. Someone mentioned about using the AccuLife for pain for humans.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually used it with a little bead, you know, on the brown part.
Mm-hmm.
I have this tarlov cyst, and I think it's stronger than the IceWave. Is that possible?
You know, from my understanding, and this is coming from Dr. Quila, there's no difference. It's just a specifically packaged for animals. That's it. So the science of it, the way that it works, the way that it's produced is roughly the same.
Okay, it does have those little acupressure points. They're kind of interesting to put on the brown part.
Mm-hmm.
So just curious about that. Was that especially for horses that they?
I think so. I think so. And I think they've added a few, you know, elements specific for that. And I know that I'm blanking on the guy's name, but I saw some YouTube videos with a gentleman who is like the leading sort of authority on treating horses with the patches. And he was suggesting some different protocols and things like that for the common issues that horses have. But to be quite honest, I haven't done a whole lot of study on AccuLife other than just hearing the conversations about how it does truly help animals and livestock.
Okay, but they're both the same.
From my understanding, the organic materials inside the patch that reflect a certain near infrared frequency is the same for humans as it is for pets.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Susan, well, and everybody, Dr. Jeffrey, I do have friends that are they do therapy on horses, and they do use the patches and love them. It helps their therapy. Absolutely. And like they say, horses don't lie. So when they have them on, yeah, they notice a big difference, and it does help their performance and their recovery too. So definitely.
Great news. Great news. Glad to get a confirmation on that.
Yeah.
All right, Susan, any more?
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate the question. All right, Stephanie, you're up. You please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, just really quickly, coming off of Lana's question, what about the C word before treatment? Which patches would you suggest submitting to the doctor for consideration?
So we're talking about abnormal cell growth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a couple of schools of thought on that. Again, the first contraindication is transplant surgery. Second contraindication is chemotherapy, right? Because again, the emphasis is on suppressing the immune response and doing some things that if for whatever reason, X39 is sort of counterintuitive, right? It's the opposite. It's helping to develop, tissue development. It's developing tissue instead of looking to kill certain tissue or to damage certain tissue, right? So it all really depends, in my opinion, on if and when you're going to have chemo or radiation or surgery or what have you. And so again, it would be really great to have a conversation with your oncology team and whomever is going to be a part of your treatment plan, and share some articles, share your enthusiasm about the technology and that you want it to be a part of your plan, et cetera, et cetera. And just make sure everybody's on the same sheet of music. That would be my ultimate recommendation. But as far as patches go, I think that you could utilize the technology to help you prepare for some of the side effects of the therapy, right? Because it really is not the pharmaceutical treatment on the abnormally growing cells, it's the impact of that treatment on your healthy cells. So you want those cells to be as strong as possible. You want things like glutathione to be on deck so that all the free radicals and things that are going to be generated from the damage of that, pharmaceutical drug and the effort to get rid of those tumor growing ones, that would be great. Carnosin's great. Eon's great. I love Nirvana because, obviously you're going to have some emotional response to all of the diagnoses and the treatment, et cetera. So those are some of the things that should not have, any sort of impact on the body, whether you get the treatment or not. But specifically X39 and X49 are off limits for that.
All right, thanks.
Welcome. All right, CC, your turn. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Jeff. It's nice to meet you.
Same here.
So I have had a very long 3 years of health issues. I started out with Charcot's foot. I had COVID, I had a stroke, and I had a 6-pass bypass.
Wow.
So I am in the recovery stage, and I would like to know what patches you think would help me the most.
Oh, wow. No, I say that to say that I think there's a lot of different things that I can think of that I would like to address. And to be quite honest, I think we need to have a one-on-one consultation offline where we can really dive deep into everything that's going on. But okay. Here's my initial thoughts. Anybody who's got cardiovascular disease, whether it's arterial disease, whether it's actually the heart itself, whether it's the lungs, is going to extremely benefit from the Y age group. And so that would be glutathione, carnosine, and eon. Okay, they're actually specifically designed to help us not age. That's why, like, the question is why age, right? But it's okay. Why. So in that instance, arterial health is improved. The heart musculature and contractility is improved. Lung function is going to improve. And just the internal lining of the artery has been shown to improve as well, as we kind of covered in our article this morning. I could talk on and on and on about how valuable those patches are. And then X39 also is a great patch. I don't know how long you've been post-surgical and whether you started your physical therapy, whether you started any sort of exercise process or anything like that. But the X49, which is our most recent patch, just came out at the beginning of the year. It has been shown to dramatically improve the ability to burn fat and to build lean muscle and to, just increase the overall physical performance. And so I think just recovering from bypass surgery, recovering from the infection with COVID, and just being more active and things like that, that would be a great patch to add to the mix. So I would start off with those 5, but when we talk in more detail, I should be able to help, kind of understand a little bit better the entire picture and what's going on and how to best place them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for joining. All right, Charlotte, go right ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. Dr. Jeff, my brother is a bad diabetic, and he recently walked on hot pavement, which unfortunately took all the skin off the bottom of his feet, and he's now had 2 surgeries and is in the hospital and is getting ready to go to rehab. So that is the set. So I'm trying to get him to use the X39s to heal more quickly. And at that point, because his feet are bandaged and, he's bleeding a lot and all that still, is it better for him still to put them over the bandages on each foot, or would it be just as effective for him to wear at one of the other locations that's suggested?
I would be very aggressive. And so I would probably wear 3 patches, 3 X39 patches per day for 12 hours. I would
Okay.
put one not on the bottom of the foot, but on the top of the foot, on top of the bandage. As long as the patch is within an inch or so of the skin, it's activated.
Okay.
And then I would wear one on the back of the neck.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And then, you know, as he recovers and he's able to get out of the hospital and stuff, then, you know, I think then there's a place for glutathione, carnosine, and some of the other patches that also will help with peripheral circulation, insulin resistance, and, you know, some of the other metabolism things that would help his overall condition.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. All right, Kate, go right ahead and ask your question.
Is there any proof that we have helped macular degeneration, which is the wet one associated with aging?
Okay, so we got to be careful, guys. We can't say some of those disease states. No, it's okay. I just wanted to reiterate that because we are going to put these live on YouTube. So we have to protect the integrity of the company. So certain diagnosis and things like that is just hard to talk about. If we,
I'm so sorry. Can you edit that out?
It's okay. It's okay. So again, just need to state, patches do not heal, treat, cure, or prevent any medical conditions. We just say that the eyesight is declining, and we need to know whether the patches help with eyesight. And so it's so funny, Kate, because I don't know if you were here at the beginning of today's discussion, but I'm a believer. I actually have my own testimony. As you can see, I have on some new glasses. I just got an eye exam a few days ago, and my eyesight is improved. And so the only thing I can attribute that to is the patches. I have done no eye exercises. I haven't done anything specific. Other things that I know that help with eyesight, I haven't done them for myself. So I'm just a consistent Lifewave patch user. All right. So that's what I'd like to attribute. And I know for many other people, they've experienced improvement in their prescription lenses, improvement in ability to see long distances and to read up close. So if you're looking for a specific way to go about that, I personally recommend using an eye patch, a sleep mask, you know, the kind that you use when maybe you work overnight and you need to get rest during the day, or if you're going to go on a plane, long distances, you wear an eye mask, okay? So, you know, it covers your eyes and you want to paste the patches on the inside of the mask. You stick the adhesive to the inside of the mask and you wear that over your eye on both sides. X39 is great. Probably the best just to improve vision by itself. If you have an inflammatory process or an infection of the eye, it's better to use the combination of glutathione and ion.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Oopsie.
No problem, no problem. So if you got one side, you can use a powered mask, you know, an eye patch. If you're just wanting to improve both sides, I say you get one of those sleep masks.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, ma'am. Okay. I think, Kate, you were the last one. I don't see any more hands up. All right. So, guys, I am going to go ahead and start closing things down. We're almost to an hour. Again, guys, thank you so much for your support. I cannot believe this is our 76th episode. It doesn't feel like we've been going that long. Please, if you have any interest at all in watching old videos, archive videos, they are all on YouTube right now. You can simply go to Google and type in Ask Dr. Jeff and go to videos, and you'll start to see all of my videos. Or you can go to YouTube itself and you can type in Ask Dr. Jeff or Jeffrey Hubbard, MD, and you'll be able to find my channel, and then just go to the playlist that says Ask Dr. Jeff series, and you'll be able to see everything else. There's a couple of other playlists that you probably have never heard of, and if that's interest to you, you know, I think all of them are edifying in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They're my art, so please experience it as you will. I excited to share space. So please subscribe, like the videos, comment. You know, eventually one day I hope to start getting some revenue from YouTube, and that's a long, arduous process. But each and every like, each and every view, each and every hour spent watching the content, it gets me closer to that goal, okay? Going to the Philippines for a series of Lifewave events. So excited about that. We've been hyping it up for the last 90 days. The time has finally come for me to travel. I'm so excited. This is my first time in Asia. For those of you who don't know me personally, I am a travel junkie. I've been tapping my veins here for quite some time. I have not been out of the country in 3 years now. So I am ready to get lost and to see some new culture, new people, try some new food and all of that good stuff. Also, I have been on a fasting journey for the last 2 months. I fast every year for my mother. She passed away in 2012. So I always take a month, usually longer, to fast in her honor and take care of my body in remembrance of all that she did for me and all the other people that she impacted throughout her life. So I'm going to be closing that down because I fully expect to have an umbrella in my drink when I get to the Philippines, okay? So stay tuned. There are going to be videos, social media stuff, whatever, of my travels. I'll keep you guys posted. There will be Zoom access to a couple of the different events that we're going to be having. That's the 28th of July, the 30th of July, the 1st of August, and the 4th of August. All right. So if you got anybody in the Philippines who might want to meet live and in person, please send me their info or you send my info to them. And so that they can find out which locations we're going to be in. We'll be in 3 different cities throughout the 2 weeks while I'm there. And I'm glad I remember this. Ask Dr. Jeff. I'm going to promise you guys that we'll do it next week. But the following week, I believe that I'll be traveling in the country and will not be able to be on at our usual time. So instead of trying to move the time around to another time frame that works, it's a 13-hour difference from where I am here in Dallas. So 7 o'clock here tonight is going to be about 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm okay doing that. But the next Tuesday, I believe I'm going to be traveling at that particular time in the morning, going to a different part of the country. So I won't be able to do that. So next week, Ask Dr. Jeff is a yes. The following week, which would be August the 2nd, is a no. All right. So put that on your calendar. And then obviously, once I get back, I'll be in full effect and I'll give you guys a recap of all the cool stuff that happened. Also, Ask Dr. Jeff, MD, the platform is almost done. It will likely be done for my trip. And that's what's I'm really working on, completing all of that stuff and getting it ready so that the videos are more accessible and you've got all kind of information. We're going to do all kind of cool stuff. So stay tuned for that. And if there's no other points, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday, bright and early in the morning for me from the Philippines.
Safe travels.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. See you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have a great night, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Jeff. Coach Bailey out.
All right, sir. See you later.